I've been waiting for the noise to die down, so I could have some time to think back to when I wanted to be where I am now. Free of problems I had then, but taken up by more now. Let me grow as I am. You can rush through your life at your own ruin mind. Oh, I grow as I am. Live your life until now, but your own ruin mind. What are we rushing for anyway? What's perfection worth anyway? I guess I don't know. I've been writing my own songs and journal entries. Words of wisdom that I wrote to try to fix me. I always seem to know exactly where to go. Why I'm so stuck in the same place, we'll never know. Oh, I'm growing as I am. You can rush through your life at your open mind. Oh, I grow as I am. Live your life until now, but your open mind. What are we rushing for anyway? What's perfection worth anyway? I guess I don't know. When will you come around and see? You don't have to lie to me, we're all the same. When will you finally let go of me and lose your...
Hello everyone, how are you? This is Aro from Plunge Studios here in New Zealand, also part of the Plungecast production, I guess, a podcast. As you know, we do a lot of different podcasts on this show, on this channel. We talk about comics, we talk about pop culture, we talk about how politics influences pop culture, entertainment, movies. Almost every day of the week, we sort of try to do a different show. One of the ones that are coming up is on Friday, we have an interview with comic book creators from Australia called Reverie Publications on Friday. That's on Friday night here in New Zealand time. So it's kind of late for the Northern Hemisphere, but you can catch that on the replay. And also we do clips of that as well. And now on Sunday, we have Art Victim, who we got an interview with Art Victim, and I'm quite excited about that as well. Hey, Star Million, awesome to see you, bud. Thank you from Twitter, man. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your account. I just want to thank you for that because for seeing you. Because I don't do that, and I find that when people do that, I really admire that because I think that's cool and that's really awesome. And so I like to share that as well. So thank you for being part of helping me, and everybody else in the indie scene get our work out there seen, because we're not all of us can afford to buy it, like have that kind of, like, what you say, promotional side of things as much as we do. Because for me, I'm just a one-man show when it comes to the podcast and doing all our social media. So it takes a bit of time. But thank you coming in today. And I saw that you said you want to come and check it out. But yeah, so Thank you for that. Now, what I want to talk about today, we've got because our channel does a lot of things. We interview people from all over the world, as well as our own neck of the wood, which is Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, and we try to bring them on and we talk about their comic books projects that are coming up. Um, Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. And hey, look, if when you're ready to, hit me up if you want to get interviewed, because I do that almost three times a week, 3 times a month. Sorry, on a Saturday for the US, but for us in New Zealand, it's Sunday. So hit me up on DM, and we'll set up something for an interview. I would love to, showcase your work, and that'll be awesome. And so I love interviewing people. I love having conversations because a lot of times I don't get out of the house because of my injuries, right? So I only once a week I get out of the house, and so the most of my communication is online. And interviewing people is the way I get to actually, have real deep, meaningful conversations with people. And I find that really cool about learning about other people's creativity and other people's process and how they got to where they got to at this stage of their life and their journey. So today we're going to, with what's cooking with Plunge Comics, is basically a show just about what we're putting out or what we're working on right now, what we've got coming up. So this is from issue 2. Right here in front of us is a page from issue 2 of Templeton. Issue 1 is finished. It's getting lettered. I've lettered it. It's getting inked now. And so once it's finished the inks, about August, because we've got everything coming out on schedules, right? So it's going to come out inked, and then it's going to go to digital black and white on the Rising Sun page, Rising Sun publishing page, and then it'll go to color for Kickstarter. We're doing that because we want to because we don't have the millions of dollars to promote anything we do, right? So the best way I can think of is, hey, why don't we offer a black and white version of our comic book, full comic book? No, here's a preview thing. Sometimes it's called previews because it's like we're trying to preview it to you guys, even though it's a full work, right? So it's 22 pages, complete works, or whatever it is. Because like I know right now we got Robot Nation's going to come to is going to Kickstarter soon, right, on our page there, and it's getting colored now. However, the black and white is already available right now to purchase, because that way you guys can see what it is, what the book is, what it's about, and you can read it and find out for yourself for a very cheap amount, right? $2.99, right, for a 28-page art and storybook, right? So it's what is it? It's like about another 6 pages more than a normal comic book. Plus, you get it's a 36-page comic book. Plus, you get all the background. You get the artist bios. You get like prelim designs, sketches, and some actual pieces that never been seen before. Because I've got our artist on there, Francisco Conti, basically went and said, "Hey, I saw you mention Einstein's 3 laws of robots," and goes, "Here's an art piece I did for that." I was like, "Cool." So now we've got that in print as well, coming as part of that. But let's start with Templeton, right? So Templeton that's part of the cover there, by the way, you're seeing there. So let me bring up that actual page so I can point to it, and you guys can see me pointing to what I'm talking about. So this is Templeton. It's Christopher Templeton. Was that CT? Christopher Templeton? Yeah, CT, Chris, right? And this is Sangam. I always have a problem pronouncing it. And even though I've created the character, right, the succubus, and I've written the name, and I always misspell it every time, and I mispronounce it every time. And so I always have to go, which one is it? So she's she's kind of comes in later on. So this is a variant cover that we sort of go, hey, this is, she's in a 2-part story that we're going to give as a digital black and white, offer as a digital black and white as part of the Kickstarter. So you can actually have a future story. The reason we're doing this as part of the Kickstarter when this comes out in August is because in hell, as in heaven, there is no time. There's no chronological order in our world, right? In our Plunge universe, our version of heaven and hell, or the hellscape, there's no chronological order. So I can tell a story now, and you'll be like, where does that fit in? It's like, well, it fits in part of this big picture, but also things are out of time and out of sequence, so you don't know when it happened. But however, with the Templeton story, with the rise and fall, we give you a sequence of how the 6-page issue, we in the first volume, because it's about 3 volumes almost finished, plus a 2-part written up. And so I've just basically said, hey, let's tell the story, and then also offer this other story, and then do the next volume, and so on. So the artist on this is James D. Hill. He's American, and he's an amazing artist. As you can see, like, this work is awesome, right? Like, it's so detailed. The thing about this cover is that I actually colored it myself, and I don't color that often. Like, I like, you have to pull my leg, to basically, wrench my arm to go, hey, dude, color this. And so it takes me ages to color anything. And so this is the first time I actually colored something, because I have a colorist, and I have other people who color their own work as well, or I have somebody else coloring. One of the covers that we did for Robot Nation from James, that's coming up. So you can see this. This is just a panel, right? 2/3 of a page panel from the first page from issue 2, right? And issue 1 introduces Templeton, about who he is, how he got there, and you kind of got like, what is his job, right? So Templeton is a soul collector, right? That's his purpose. So he works with a Duke of Hell called Placenta, right? Placenta. Let me and the name has, like, the fact that it's called Placenta, it's got a kind of like a twist to his to who he is as well, and because and I don't want to give away too much, but like, this is a work that I've been working on for at least about 14 years. Like, we were gonna like try to get this made a few years back, and I actually had a mental breakdown. I had a head injury and everything, just cracked up, opened my eyes and stuff, and so just forgot about it. But then I opened up a comic shop, right? So I did that for about 40 months, and then I closed that down. Then then up 2 years later, I decided to get back into comics again. So I've been part of this so-called indie comic scene for a while, right? But haven't really done much because of the things I was going through personally. Now I'm going to open up, show you some of the pages from the first issue, because you don't want to see the second issue, but because there's no text on it, you don't know what it's about. That's why I can actually show you that promotion, right? But here, where are you, James? Okay, so this is James' work. And while you're looking at that one, let me bring up some really cool pages here from issue 1. Right, here we go. So this one will introduce the characters. This is how we introduce the characters first. So you guys get to see that, who they appear. This is how they appear. That's the first time they appear in the comic, right? So this is Placenta here. He's always for him, he's always stayed the same character design. However, about 5 years ago, I redesigned the character of Christopher, right? Templeton, because I kind of wanted him to have a unique look, and how to that he stood out from everybody else. And the influence about what for Templeton came from John Constantine. I'm a huge John Constantine fan, right? And I've always been one. Like, I've read all 300 issues. The only things I haven't read from him, from his comic series, his appearances, I think there's a couple from like Swamp Thing, even though I have 2 issues of the first appearance of Swamp Thing, right? From of him and Swamp Thing number 27. But also, I in about 2011, I was doing a course in design, a web design. And so one of the things was that you had to do some sort of I think logo designs and all that. And so I designed this whole thing around Constantine. And then when I went to Fiji while I was waiting to come back on the plane, I actually wrote the script, like a whole friggin' 90-page script, outline and everything. And I don't know how many pages I actually finished there. While I was waiting for a plane for 2 hours, I was just writing this story out, right? And it had to do with which is volume 2, right? Which had to do with with the deities of Fiji, with the Fiji, excuse me, This is why I always have water next to me, because I run up, I always get a frog in my throat because of medication that I take for my pain. And so, excuse me. So, and that gives me dry mouth. So, so when I was in Fiji, I learned a lot about the customs of the indigenous Fijians, right? Not the Indians, but the indigenous Fijians, right? They have their own culture and stuff, and so they have their own deity and so on. And and so I learned that from my aunt who passed away last year, who's a Fijian, right? A native Fijian. And some of you may know, I'm an Indo-Fijian, which means I'm an Indian Fijian, right, from mainland India. However, because and I was so glad that I got to spend like a whole weekend with her, and she'd tell me the stories about like how man, it's not really working on me today. Excuse me. The creation story of every culture has an Adam and Eve. Man, I'm not sure why that's doing that crazy on me. Apologies for that, guys. I'm just going to mute myself for a minute. Sorry for that. Yeah, so every nation, every culture, every ethnic group, every country has their own creation story. So my aunt basically was telling me her creation story for her people, and I like just ate that up because I'm a guy who loves researching stuff. And as you know, when you watch me on here, I talk about that a lot. And because it's very important for me to know what I'm talking about, because when I write the characters, I want the characters to have some depth, really have something really good about them that you guys can go, well, this is just a superfluous character. It's not a two-dimensional character. There's this character that actually has a depth. They have depth, right? They have people around them. They have people they value, their family. If they have children, then their children. If they have girlfriend, then their girlfriend, their fiance, so on, right? And what makes them tick? Because nobody is just a black and white, right? Like 2D person. They have a lot of dimensions and nuances, as I said the other day, right? And so for me, I need to know about other people's cultures. I need to know about, it took me 5 years to learn about our own culture because I had to research about how the hell we ended up in Fiji, right? And I mentioned that, and I write about that in a book called Dirt, right? And so, and we got that, hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll have that finished. It's a kind of like an eight issue slice of life crime drama about an assassin, right? And so, criminal elements in there. And so she told me about all this thing, like, and I was just so excited to learn about that. And so when I then sat down to write this, sitting with my Mac tablet, I mean not tablet, MacBook Pro laptop, and watching, there's hardly anybody there. I'm on the morning trip back home in New Zealand from Fiji. I'm just typing away, just trying to spew everything I could onto the paper, onto the screen. And so I took that on board, and also I also bring in like the Indian culture themselves, the Hinduism, because I'm not a Hindu, right? The religion is Hindu, right, for Indians, but I'm not religious. So I also bring that into it. But so back to Templeton. So that's volume 2 coming up. Volume 1 is basically about 2 young kids who are runaways, right? 2 lovebirds run away, young high school kids, and how they kind of fall in with what do these, this demon and this human soul collector have to do with them, right? And so for me, I've been fighting really hard to write stories that are human. I can write about heaven and hell and all these things and all that crazy stuff, but I wanted to have something human in it. And so when I wrote issue 2, like volume 2, right, which is 6 pages, long, probably next year or two, I was thinking about like the gods and stuff. I wasn't thinking about like the human element. I was thinking about like the supernatural things, And so I went back and I went, hey, how do I humanize this character? And then I thought, like, you know what? I need to change not who he is. I need to change the story a bit. And that's why I went back and wrote volume 1. and so which is Rise and Fall, right? And I was basically thinking, how do I bring this character to where people want to read about this character, right? So that this character is like you can see here. Did he ink that? He put more shades on it, right? So you can see that he's put more elements to it, highlighted it a bit more, like when they appear into our world. But it's more like the spiritual world, right? And so I want to see how do we, and plus this kid isn't, is just there. So, there's a lot of brutal things happen in this story, and because it's heaven hell, it's horrible, it's torture, people getting tortured. How do I humanize that? How do I get you guys to not just think, as a reader, because I want you to be a fan of the book. I don't want to go, oh, this is just all about gore and everything, and it's just about, it's like torture porn. And I'm like, I don't want this to be about that. And so I really thought about what is going on in, that I think would be really good for this. And I thought, well, why don't we do, some sort of like a young couple, right? Runaways, why are they, about their life. What are they, who are they? And then I had to go back and write about the girl's family, right? And then where are they running away to? And then I had to do, figure out how to do all that. And the great thing is having someone like James, like working with him, like, I mean, we started this a couple of years ago, right? When we just finished the first issue, because he's been ultra busy. With someone with his talent, he's always going to be ultra busy. But he's got family, he's got kids. He had some, things happened over the last 3 years, as you know, right? And so we took a bit of time there, but he's done so much work for us, like even to the cover, like a poster that we did for Incredigle, right? Let me just pop that up so we can have a look at that. So he did, like I said, he did one of the artworks for Incredigle, but he's also in the same time, while he's doing that, he did also a variant cover for Robot Nation, which you guys will be able to see soon. And so, for me, I'm wanting to wait a couple of years, and I know everybody goes like, why is it taking so long for some of the work that artists do? Everybody, think of it, like people are complaining online, oh, it's taking this long for people to get your work to them. You got to understand, everybody has their own life, and everybody has their own personal things going on with their family, with their parents. I mean, like some people have lost parents, right? In that same period that we've had in the last 3 years. I know my close friend lost his dad, in the early stages of COVID, and I was, and it's like, do you go, oh, you need to forget that and get work together done, and I think a lot of people nowadays don't think about people as human beings. They just see product and they say, you know what, I just want my product back on time. I want it here. I want it now. Give it to me. I paid for this. And a lot of things that we forget is that people are human out here, that people have emotions. They've got their own lives going on. So I was really, like while in the last 2 years, while we waited to get this issue finished, he's out here doing me a cover, designing me, Incredible covers, posters, right? And he's designing the the character in his style and stuff, and we get to see that. And so we finished this last August, and we've got the colored and everything. It's been we're waiting for it to send out to you guys who have backed this, right? Incredible, and it's Incredible started in 2007, guys, and we only got the first issue out in its proper final way that I wanted, right? In full color with the best artist around that I could get to do it, right? And and for and build up her, a following for her, like a new artist, a new book, a new character. Nobody's just gonna go, oh yeah, another freaking superhero, like I got like a 10,000 others already there. But I wanted to go out and find someone who's really talented, like Kevin Zimmerman, that you can see his inks here and his pencils, and then we get Hugo Aquino, who does the colors on it, and then Kevin, because we always give our A cover, regular A cover to the artist, the interior artist, so you know that you're not, it's not like a bait and switch. So A cover is always going to be the artist who did the interiors. So this is, this is a cover that Kevin did himself, right? And he colored it himself. I do a lot of logos. I design all the logos. I do all the letters, right? I designed the book myself. So, it's kind of ends up being like, with the colorist, it becomes like a three-man team. So that's the other thing, that people think that like creating comics is like machinery, right? And it's like AI, and you just plug these numbers and it's all done. This is someone actually drawing it, thinking it out. How are we going to do this? And then giving me the space for all the big, long dialogue that's happening. So it's not spread out about 2-3 pages. And it's, so you got the space to put the dialogues in. But then also the colorist has got to come in and color it to make art pop out, as well as my lettering pop out. Because when you're looking at a page and there's a lot of lettering on it, it can get boring. So you want the art to be really popping. You want the coloring to just blow your mind, right? Like, to the best as you can. And so, this cover here is basically, a few years ago, we put that cover, that book out here locally, right? We self-published it as a web comic, right? And so this was the art for that #1 issue of the web comic. And so I got major feedback. I mean, I paid for this myself and self-published it. And but it's the webcomic version of this, right? But then I looked at it and I said, like, you know what? I really don't want to put the webcomic out as a representation of the best work I can put out as a superhero comic. And so that's why we put the cover for that as a variant cover for the, as part of the deal there, part of for Kickstarter. So also for those who bought the wraparound cover, right, you got to see who's behind this as a preview, right? And if you didn't buy the cover, you don't know who was on it. So whoever bought this cover, right, the foil wraparound, and very expensive cover, by the way, because it's foils and it's a double foil, right? It's not a single-sided. You got to see my friend Shane's artwork, right? And that was one of the early ones he did for me for Incredigo with his own, with his design. So this is Shane's artwork here. And if you guys want to follow Shane, this is him on Instagram and on Facebook. And he's he's such a cool, great artist, and he's a painter as well. So he's a pop culture artist and painter, but he's also about to release his third book, self-published, right? Right. So these two books is #2 and #1. They're sold out. So he's got issue 3 coming out, and so I always buy 2 copies of his each, one for me, and one signed, because he's a great friend, and I want to support my friend, but also he supported me for so long, man. We've been friends since like about 2014. We went to art school together as well, and I was doing like sculpture, jewelry making, glass blowing, and all that stuff, whereas he was doing like the design stuff, right, like paintings and photography and so on. So this book will be getting out to our backers in about April. It's only going to be delayed by 2-3 weeks, so I'm really excited, and that's why I've been holding up on our other project, which is now taking over to our Robot Nation, right? Which is the next book that we bring out. Oops. Come on, buddy. Where do I have to go? Stories, basics. Story. Where's the basics? Story. Right. So here you go. Right. I'm so excited for this book, guys. I am so freaking excited for this book, because I got to work with an amazing artist from Europe, right? And for you guys, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys know about me, but I love art. I've loved comics. There's like there's comics here, right? Right. There's comics over here, right? And there's comics, graphic novels, like hundreds and hundreds of graphic novels right in front of me. There's about three major shelves there, but then all across here, right over here, is containers of comics. Now, you don't get to see them all because the only thing I have behind me is the toys. But I just want to let you know that I've been a fan and a reader of comics, and what just kept me reading since I was like about 8 years old. And I'm 50 now, right? I'm about to turn 51 in May. Hell, that's 2 months away. March, April, May. Yeah. And so if you really think about 42 years of reading comics, and comics got me to be a reader, right? To learn how to speak English. I guess also, I think TV got me to speak English, right? Because, people talking, conversing, but I couldn't read English that well when I came to New Zealand, let alone spell and write it. So I had to have special reading classes. And that's why, for me, comics is such an important medium for me as someone who, uses to learn. And so also, I mean, if you're first time here, please like, subscribe. But if you're first time here, I also run a convention, right? With Shane as my art director, right? For the convention, we run a local convention called Plunge, Pop Culture and Comic Convention, right? Where for the apart from this year, last 5 years in a row, we've been running it as a way to like get kids into art and into writing, into drawing, into reading, and using pop culture and comics and manga as a medium for them to get into the arts. And so we've had great support from our community, our arts community, as well as our local council, our funding bodies. Like, we've had so many people like help out with that. The volunteers are from arts, for girls, the high school, the art department volunteer. We've got artists who come and speak, right? And we've got like the library as part of that, who look after the young kids, right? So that they're safe and everything, And so that's what helped me become learn how to read and write, and have this love for comics and novels and reading, right? I want to pass that on because I found that a really easy way to get into the arts and get into comics. So that's why I also decided, when I've always wanted to do something like that, and then I was offered an opportunity and was told, hey, if you want to do this, we'll back you up. And I said, okay, cool. And so Rising Sun Comics basically helped finance a lot of that. By the way, guys, for you guys who don't know, how Rising Sun Comics itself came in, I've been a part of Rising Sun Comics since 2011, 2010. But I've been away from the company for a long time because of my head injury, because I just forgot because of the head injury, because of concussions I've had. I've had about 7 over my lifetime, since I was like about maybe 7, I think. I remember running and just the first time I remember hurting my head was running and tripping over and cracking my head, and Mum had to sew it up with needle, right? Thread and needle. Yeah, think about that when you're a little kid and there's no, painkillers or whatever. This is like in the 80s, and your mother is having your auntie hold you while she's sewing your scalp, right? Scalp, I should say. And it's like bleeding, like so on. But I've had more than, that was my first one that I actually can remember. But so you can basically go, like the links in the chat. I'll put it up again because I think I mixed it up and I put it with the next one. But you can actually read Robot Nation right now for $2.99, black and white. I know it says preview and the link and so on, but it's a full comic, the entire thing, 36 pages. Nothing is taken out of that, right? And so you can basically read it and say, hey, is this something that I want to put money into? I know you go, well, it's going to cost me $2.99 for digital. Then I'll have to go and buy the physical if I want it. But here's the thing. Physical, you can take digital, you can take anywhere with you, right? With physical, and I'm the same, right? With physical, I can reach for it anytime right now, like this, right? And I can open it up and go, hey, this is what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm like, where was that file? Where was that folder? But also the other thing is, you get to have a physical book in your hand, and everybody's like, oh, we should get rid of physical media and all that. I'm a huge proponent. Is it proponent? Promoter, right? Let's use that word. Promoter of physical media. Physical media, I know it takes a space. I know, like, I'm surrounded. Like, if you look at my room, there's only a couple meters I can walk around in without tripping over things. In my apartment, I should say. Uh, and hardly anybody actually comes to over. And, you know, I even my nephew at the start of this year from Australia come over, and I was like, I felt a bit shame because, like, not shame, but like, how do I he's gonna freak out. Plus, he's not gonna be able to walk around and look at things properly. So he just went in here, like, took about 5 steps in and 2 steps here, because he said to my brother, he goes, I want to go and have a look. It's like, and my brother goes, oh, shall I go and can you come in? I said, yeah, because both my nephews said, come on. Like, my other my brother-in-law's son was there as well. And so I said, come on, guys, just come and have a look. And they looked, and they're like, it was just too much. It was overwhelming. It's like, you know, when you go into, you know, when you're a little kid, right, and you go into a toy store, you're like, which one do I actually want? And so that was like that, and I could see it in their eyes. It's like, this is too much. But the thing is, because I don't have any children, sadly, I don't have any children. I always wanted to have kids. So all my stuff gets passed on to them, and to my nephews and nieces, right? So I just thought, like, I mean, I want them to be in love with things that I love as well, like, you know, pop culture, with reading and writing, and like being into art and stuff, and especially comics, right? So you guys can actually grab this comic now, but also here, if you go to, when we get our Kickstarter started, I'll let you guys know when it'll be up, and you guys can come and check it out, right? However, I'm going to show you some of the artwork that's coming up here. So this is a regular cover, and then this is the you know, the first page from, like, The Trouble with Bobo, which is going to be fully colored, as you can see. The black and white's available now on digital, like I just said. But, like, Hugo's right now is coloring this book, right? And then when we get to launch it on Kickstarter, I hope you guys will follow us, and we'll back it, the physical books, because there's some amazing covers coming out. There's some mature, not safe for work covers coming out. There's a foil cover coming out. There's some other covers that are done by that are just retailer incentive covers, right? That just the retailers will get it. And then there's also there will be also covers that will just be for Kickstarter versions of those covers. You know, so with this, I'll finish off here with Robot Nation. Basically, it's 2 short stories. One's a longer one and one's a shorter one. And one's based on Earth and one's based in space. This one here, The Trouble with Bobo, is based in space. The other one here, which is, where are we? Which is this one here. This one here is called, oh, I've forgotten what it's called now. Where are we? Let's get back up there. The Trouble with Bobo, and where's the second story? Come on, buddy. There we go, Robot Nation. That's why I forgot, because I've been saying Robot Nation for ages. But Robot Nation is the first cover story. Now, this thing about these stories is, like, they're just short stories, complete. But I'm kind of thinking that in the long run, later on, I'm going to expand on them. However, with issue 1, it's almost a standalone issue, right? Where it's like the stories, you can buy this and not worry about, like, if you're, this is why we did it as a store incentive as well. That you could buy this and sell this as a one-off comic book, and nobody would complain about it. However, we have an ongoing series with this. There's issue 2, issue 3, right? Issue 2 has already been written, and the main characters have already been designed. And so once we get this set up, we move on to issue 2. So I'm just so excited that to offer this next on our own, on our own project page, right? Like on our own Kickstarter. And so I'm just hope that you guys will back this book. And just in finishing, I want to show you a new cover that I've been, we put out on Facebook and on also on Twitter for this that we're doing as part of the retail incentive. And where are you? This one here. This is only going to be for retailers, and we're only offering 5 this, like print covers for retailers only. So we've at the bottom here, you'll see that it's like retail 1 in 25 retail incentive cover A, right? The cover V version of this is a bit more, not safe for work kind of thing. It's what we call the bloody cover, right? And it's a variant of this cover, and I'm just so excited because our artist on this is Joachim Hagström, and he's from Sweden. He's working on a comic book called right now, a series called Zoolander Fantastical Romy, which is our first arc of an ongoing series and of part of Zoolander world, which is a isekai kind of like parallel universe version of New Zealand fantasy creatures like beastmen, dragons, elves, fairies, demons, and so on, and mermaids, the whole works. It's a world where people from our own world are able to, accidentally go into on all sorts of ways, right? Not just by, like I know with isekai, a lot of times it's to do like you die and you're there, where a lot of, our world is kind of different in the way it works. And we're kind of like building this unified universe around Plunge universe, where all our books are basically tied in each other, but they're not crossovers, right? Specifically. So you can read a book and you go, oh yeah, don't have to think about any other book. However, you might have like little characters appear in it and kind of like Easter eggs. And, because I want people to grow up with our work. So if you're reading Inkerta Girl as a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, right? As well as the fact that you can read it as a 40-year-old, right? But if you read that as a young kid, then later on you go, oh, you know what? I'm now 14 or 13, right? 13, because that's where we're aiming Fantastical Romy. Now I'm 13 years old. Now I want to read this book. Cool. And then you go, oh, you know what? Now I'm 15. Now I can read Robot Nation. Now I can read Templeton, right? When I'm 18, kind of thing. That sort of thing. So I want people to grow up with our books over the next few years. As they get older, they can move on to each different book. That's what I've been like with me. Like I've been, I've started out with like, say, Archie comics and Goofy and Donald Duck, and then Tintin, then going to 2000 AD, then going to X-Men, then going to later on Batman and Dark Universe of like DCU kind of thing, like John Constantine, Hellblazer, and then moving on to stuff more like Preacher, right, and Wife, the Last Man, right, stuff like that. So I kind of want our readers to do the same journey with us as well as they go and move along with the Plunge universe, but they're all standalone stories as well. They're all standalone comics. You don't have to read any other title. We're not trying to like, try to oversell you guys on what we're doing. You can read Robot Nation and just follow that, and that's it. Or you can go, hey, I want to pick up that book because I find this interesting. Let's try that genre, right? So we've got a genre basically for everything because I write in all genres. So with that, guys, thank you. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for Star Million for coming up here from Twitter. Thank you guys for being a part of my journey as a writer, as a comic book creator, and also as part of our creators' journey as well. Because everyone putting out a book and a piece of work, that's their journey as well as artists and as creators, and storytellers, right? They're telling the story with me through the panels, right? And through that art that they're creating on those panels. So thank you. Didn't want to hold you guys up too long for this one. I appreciate you guys. Wherever you are, be well, be safe. And like I always say, if you've got a loved one nearby, give them a hug and a kiss. Let them know that you care about them. And if they're not nearby, jump on social media, give them, text them, whatever. Let them know that you care, that you're thinking about them today. Or just let people know that you're okay as well. Because, you don't know what people are going through there. But thank you for coming and checking this out today. we'll see you next week on What's Cooking with Plunge Plunge Comics. Yeah. Thank you for watching What's Cooking with Plunge Comics, and we'll see you next week. Ka kite anō. Be well. Be safe.